Here are the firewall requirements for the communication between data collector and the monitored devices. For the domain-connected Windows servers, we should be able to port 53 to the DNS server that can do forward and reverse lookups for the domain computers. Port 88 to connect to domain controllers to get Kerberos tickets for authentication purposes. And port 5985 or 5986, depending on whether you use encrypted or unencrypted option. For non-domain users, we are using basic authentication, so port 5985 and or 5986 need to be accessible from the collector to the monitored device, depending on whether encrypted or unencrypted is used. You can check if all ports are open from the collector side. In this example, we are going to use SSH session to our appliance. We have all in one. And we are going into a root shell. And here is the command that you need to use. So that's nmap 88 for Kerberos. The device is also a domain controller. 53 for DNS. That one also has the DNS role. And 5985 and 5986. If you run that, you will see that all ports are open. So we actually can use either unencrypted or encrypted with the current configuration on that Windows device. Here are DNS requirements for domain-conducted Windows devices. When using Kerberos authentication, SL1 should be configured to use proper DNS server. Next requirement is both forward and reverse lookup should work. So here's our on one device. And we can look at the result. If you are using SL1 11.3.0 or higher version, we're using DNS mask. And DNS servers are configured in this file. Let's cat that. As you can see, we've put the name server to be that Windows domain controller that also has DNS service in there. And here is our DNS configuration. We're going to monitor the device itself. In the silo test, we have that device with this IP. And make sure that you have the pointer record and the reverse DNS lookup zone configured right here. So when you go to the collector and then do NS lookup of that device IP, you will get the name. And you should be able to do NS lookup against the name and get the IP. Both should work. Let's go through recommended SL1 configuration. You need to make sure that you have concurrent PowerShell feature enabled. To do that, here's our SL1 system. You need to go to System, Settings, Behavior. Make sure the Enable Concurrent PowerShell Collection checkbox is selected and the changes are saved. Secondly, it's recommended to use PyPSRP library. Steps on how to enable that are in the ScienceLogic manual for monitoring Windows PowerShell, around page 138. Now let's go here. Go to System, Tools, DB Tool. In our case, I already have the field PYPSRP in the table, so we'll look at that. Click Go. The field value is 0, which means it's disabled. So we're going to use Update Query instead of Insert to enable that. Copy that and paste. Here we are setting the field value to 1. And let's make sure that we have that set properly. Copy and paste. As you can see, the field value is now 1. So we've enabled PyPSRP. Adjust batch factor to maximize the number of simultaneous collection processes on dynamic app collection. So let's go here. System, Settings, Admin Processes, and search for Dynamic. There's a Data Collection Dynamic App. So if you have batch factor set to 20, make sure that you change it to 2. That's the job size. So the smaller the job size, the more jobs, the more simultaneous processes that will be running. but the number of simultaneous processes is limited to the number of cores, which is double the number of CPU cores. If you have quad-core collector, that will be 8 concurrent processes per collection. Initial discovery level includes initial population of apps. You can check that here. System, Settings, Behavior again. And each subsequent level includes the previous one. So we have 4. 4 includes 3, 2, and 1, and this is the one that we really want. So initial population of apps is included. The latest release of all required Power Packs are installed. Let's go to our list of Power Packs, which is System, Manage, Power Packs. And to start, we are just going to use Microsoft Windows Server Power Packs. And we know that Hyper-V role is not installed on our Windows Server, so these Hyper-V apps won't be aligned. And we have version 116, so let's go to our portal. Product Downloads, Power Packs, Windows Server. Scroll down. Here is Windows Server. Files. And as you can see, I already have the latest 116 installed. So we are good there. Disable dynamic applications that are not required. As you go with more Power Packs, let's say IIS or SQL Server, you may have a lot of dynamic applications that you may not really require. Each application consumes space and requires some CPU cycles, so any of the applications on the System, Manage, Dynamic Application page that you are not interested in using, or that you don't require, regardless whether those are Microsoft or AWS, etc. Make sure you disable those in your system. That should reduce the unnecessary load on your collectors and your database appliances.